If it doesn't work, push the button. Champ TV show 149. Someday I'll figure it out. How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing good. You like my shirt?
Very
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah,
I
very
got that
especially on
from
the left-hand side.
It looks African, but I got
Yes,
it.
it does.
Me and all of the African people get them from China. I got it from Temu, my new favorite, like the TikTok of Amazon. It's a Temu. This is not brought to you by Temu, but like you could buy this shirt delivered to your door by the U.S. Postal Service for like $4.
All right.
And it's like
you can
really
get all kinds
flat.
of stuff. You can get like all kinds of knickknacks and electronic stuff, and so like it's Christmas every day. So what's happening in California, David?
In California, let's see. First of all, 67 degrees, sunny.
Here too, 67 degrees.
Yeah. Beautiful day. And the rest of my drums, I know what you guys are thinking.
No, what am I thinking?
You may be saying, man, don't you have enough drum sets already?
That is what I was thinking. Yeah,
I know, and I do. But I'm not getting any younger, and I have a friend that wants me to play out every once in a while.
Wow. Okay, that sounds good.
So I don't have a roadie to take care of all these other drums.
So you need a wimpy little cocktail kit, like a little jazz kit, right?
Basically, it's like that, but it's a firecracker. You know what I'm saying? It's a atomic kit.
Mm-hmm.
It's aqua blue in color.
Right.
It's it's 4-piece, small dimensions, and the difference. This set's going to be a hybrid. It's going to be baby, It's acoustic kit, but electronic triggers. So no miking, no microphones, right?
Cool.
Cool. Baby. I have any sound I want on each drum. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's great.
Amplifier. It is. I'm all excited.
Yeah, no
That's
more.
great. So is it those little red clip-on ones? What kind of triggers you have?
The triggers I have are rolling.
Oh, they're rolling. Okay, fancy.
They're rolling. Yeah. Do I need to say any more?
Yeah, good stuff.
I know, man.
So it's a real head. It's a real drum that makes
real
the sound of a drum, but also sends a trigger.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, I could just play them, right? Because they're real heads.
Right.
But the triggers give it more growl.
Boom. Yeah,
more
right.
Punch. And it's like and also, I mean, in the part of amplification, right? It's like a microphone.
Do the cymbals have triggers too?
No. The cymbal, no. These cymbals are all. Well, I got that, but these are real cymbals.
Right.
I will be playing real cymbals. Yes. Yes.
Like tin cymbals from a kid's set, you know.
Well, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
Cymbals are serious pieces of gear. You can have a subwoofer and a 1,000-watt bass amp and a huge guitar amp and whatever, and you don't need to mic the cymbals. You go bang and it gets to the back of the room, no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So so I'm excited. Yeah. So I've been working on this, but the last two, the floor tom and the tom tom, just came today. So naturally, immediately I had already ordered pre-heads that I want to put on them because you can't use that shit they give you.
Right.
Okay, you know what I'm trying to say, guys. So I got Evans, I'm using Evans heads on this particular kit, and it's I was just tuning up the floor tom and it's already acting up, meaning growling. It's ready.
Yeah.
It wants to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm excited, guys, and they're very light, very very light.
That is exciting when you get a new piece of gear or a new setup. You're like inspired in a different way. You know?
Yeah. It makes you want to play more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So that's what's happening, man. Yeah, I need it easy. You know what I mean? They go, and not to mention, I hope to God nobody that I know from out here is tuned in right now.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm going to go here. I mean, nicely. You guys know about the Dive Bar and Grills.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's all I know about.
Okay, and don't get me wrong, some of them are all right, and some of them are really, really like sleazy kind of.
That's great though. That's the place are made.
Yes, I know.
True, to a certain
I
extent.
know.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if I'm ready for any more news stories.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're gonna have them.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
But
I have a couple. I have a couple gigs myself. I'm playing in your old stomping ground in Greenwich. I don't remember what it was called before, but McDuff's Public House down at the bottom of Greenwich Avenue. You make a right around the corner there. And
okay.
It's their it's their next to last night. I thought it was the last night tomorrow night. They lost their lease. So
Oh man.
I might be playing there Saturday night too. Frank Rogers?
The name is not. Should I know?
Yeah, I think
I should know, right?
He's a Greenwich guy, been around Greenwich for a long time.
All right,
Anyway,
I should. God, I feel
Frank
so bad.
Rogers. Apparently, we're playing the closing night with Hot Rubber Monkey Band tomorrow night at McDuff's, and then I just got a call for the gig Saturday night, which is the closing night of McDuff's. So maybe they're like the going out of business store. Like every day will be the last night.
Right. But this is it. Yeah. I'm glad you're playing it though, Ed.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're playing it. Yeah.
So I might have a double on Saturday.
That's right.
The Blues Patrol is playing the pig roast, and that's not an insult against the lead singer. It's a we're playing the pig roast with the Blues Patrol, and that's Saturday evening, so 5 to 9 or something. I may just book down to do a double gig and play from 9 to midnight at McDuff. So we'll see. So I got 3 gigs this weekend.
Very
cool.
good.
You're
very,
busy
very
man.
good.
Very busy man.
Maybe Ed, you can capture just a little bit of video.
Yeah, I will actually.
Yeah.
I will, and I'll put it on the show, and I'll maybe post some.
Thank you.
The last night at I have closed a lot of bars. We talked about this on the show before. I have closed a lot of bars. We played at a place. This is a terrible story, actually. We played at a place called Blues Patrol many years ago in Danbury called the Colorado Brewery, which is not anywhere like near Colorado. It's in Danbury, Connecticut.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And it was a nice joint. We used to play there once in a while, and we played the last night. Guy called us and he said, I got a cancellation, whatever. And I go, okay, we'll come play. So we play the night, and at the end of the night, he says, by the way, guys, this is our last night. When I close up tonight, we're out of business, and I'm not paying you. And we're like, you're not paying us? Yeah, well, the other band knew, so I didn't say anything. But, you can sue me. We're out of business. I got a lot of stress in my life. And he was all mad. And I'm like, what now? So everybody in the band was like pissed off. Like, you got to pay us for the gig we just played. And we brought a bunch of people. It was a successful night. Guys like, I'm not doing it. I don't care. You're not getting any money from me. So we start taking the liquor from behind the bar. We start taking speakers off the wall. And he's like, you can't do that. You can't. Oh, it's against the law or whatever. Yeah. So he got all mad. It was a lot of stress. And he's like, I'm going to call the cops. And we're like, fine, call the cops. You're theft of services, And he's like, fine. So he didn't call the cops or whatever. And we have a yelling, screaming match, and he paid us.
Oh, right.
So then that's the good part of the story. So then this is the bad part of the story. Bad part of the story, the guy goes home, and as he's putting the key in the lock at his house, he dies. He has a heart attack and dies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Wow. From all the stress of running to not, I don't know, from whatever it is like.
Right. Sure.
That's the story that I heard. So but that's one of the bars. We really closed that place.
Wow, I'll say.
Wow. It's like a funny story until the end,
Yeah,
exactly.
The ultimate closing. Yeah.
Right. It's like that submarine. I want to know how you feel about it. So you know about the submarine, right? That 5 guys, a billionaire and a bunch of high net guys, they pay $250,000. They go see the Titanic, right?
Yes.
It's a little bit like space tourism, the ones that get launched with Bezos up into the out of the atmosphere.
Yes.
But what's getting me, and I've been known to have a sense of humor, right? Like I have a sense of humor. I can tell the story on GMTV with a smile on my face about the bar we closed and the fight we had, and the guy puts the key in the door and dies, right? That's it. And I can say that like it's really sad he died, but But I go on Facebook and I see all the posts about the submarine, like they're a bunch of idiots, like, oh, the rich guys, like, well, I don't know why we're talking about that. They're a bunch of dorks in their stupid submarine with their Xbox controller. And I'm like, my God, like, who are these people? Like, these 5 people suffocated or imploded in a submarine.
Imploded. Correct.
It's a tragedy.
Correct.
And like, it's too soon to be making not just one joke, but like I've seen 50 different jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's cold. That's really cold.
It is cold.
It's a little cold, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if it's different to people from if something, blew up, whether they wouldn't, they would, I'm not going to make fun of that because that was like, whereas this is sort of, you can't see it, so you can easier to make fun of it.
And then I posted, so then I became Karen, right? Like I go on the internet and I'm like, why are you making a joke out of these 5 people who are dying or dead in a really bad way? And their families are, not that they're going to see the joke or whatever, but, their families, this is a kind of a little too soon. Like, we don't even know that they're dead yet. And you're making all of these jokes. And the guy, and I said, would you laugh about an airliner that crashed? You wouldn't laugh. You wouldn't be like, getting in a plane and flying through the sky, dumbos, And the guy defended himself. And he was like, yeah, well, they weren't rich people like blowing money on unimportant things, and I'm like, oh my God, like the world has gone a little loony.
Yeah. Wow.
Like we're ready to eat each other over, over
Right.
rich people in submarines should be death penalty,
Yeah.
Right.
Very weird
Wow.
stuff.
I'm a downer. I don't mean to be such a downer, but
That's okay.
No, it needed to be said.
Well,
needed to be said. That's what I'm saying.
It needed to be said. I'm glad you. I'm glad you brought it up.
Captain Kirk got to go, get his real flight. I mean, people are actually truly getting their flight, so it's not all bad.
Right.
There are some people,
I didn't even know. I didn't even get an email saying that I should spend $250,000 to go down to the Titanic. I didn't know you could do that.
You could have taken it from that guy's club before he died. You could, if you'd taken enough stuff, you could have paid for it. But
exactly.
Take enough.
Wow. So there you have it. So Will Bear, play some music. Save us from ourselves.
Yeah.
I think I could do that. I think I could do that. Let me see here. The invisible applause.
Let me say, I don't know what you were thinking, Will, but that was the perfect song to play after what we were talking about.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree.
yeah.
Frank Toronto, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
I am frantic, but here. I literally just I would frantically plug in stuff in, not to take away from the wonderful.
No, you're
stuff
good.
that
What,
Will
you have a
did.
gig? Where was your gig?
I played at the Guilford Fairgrounds Farmers Market this afternoon. So,
Great places. Farmers markets.
Who has a farmers market on Thursday
soil.
afternoon? I've never heard of such a thing.
Apparently, the town of Guilford. So,
Wow.
So it was a good time. It was a lot of fun, but a little bit of a hectic smash to get back here and get all the stuff reset up in my underground.
Did it rain?
lair. Thankfully, no, because I don't have a tent. So
yeah, I know
Yikes.
that was
Get a
terrifying
tent.
me.
Go to Walmart, get the tent.
Yep. Well,
But then you have to set it up. And
mundane
Not
detail.
bad. Let me tell you, I have a tent and I keep it in the jam van and I drive around everywhere I go. I carry the tent around if I'm in the jam van. And I have the big one, like the 13 by 13. I got it in November, like end
drummer
of season.
special.
You can get a band
$90
like that.
special, whatever. But it's a little bigger. And I'm telling you, I've had gigs where we're sitting on stage at a gig with a band and we're about to hit. It's like 5 minutes to hit time. And we're all like, oh my God, we're in the sun. It's just killing us. It's so hot. And I'm like, I've got a tent in the van. And with 5 minutes, we have the tent set up and lowered into the stage.
Oh, absolutely. No, I just, because for years, I mean, I worked in radio doing promotions and such. And so I can set up one of those things as Don Imus used to say, in a cocaine heartbeat.
There you go.
So so that's not a big deal. I just got to get one. Normally, I know a guy who has one, and I borrow it. But
go get
he
your
wasn't
tent.
around.
Be a tent owner. Don't be a renter. Be a owner.
Don't be a renter.
I'll have to take a look. Yeah, that 12 square, the 13 square one. That's definitely something to bear in mind. The 10 bys are nice, but as Dave can attest, it's a little tough to fit the floor tom on the ride underneath the 10 by 10.
You know what the worst, absolute worst is when you do like gigs in October or September, or even September. You can have some hot days in September, but the sun has already gotten low in the sky. So you set the tent up over the drummer and all the guys, but the shadow is over here. So you're all in the direct sunlight.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't matter. That's the big thing. Or like I was saying, like the edge of the ride symbol is out in the air, so the rain hits the ride and runs down the ride directly into the power strip. Well,
I played at Stonebridge once. Stonebridge in Milford, and they have a creek that runs right by. There's a bridge, right? There's a creek, and who knew? And we're playing the gig with a 10-piece band and with a horn section, the whole thing. And the creek, there's a thunderstorm like upstream. And it came over actually, but it filled the creek, and the creek crested, and there was 4 inches of water on the floor over the pedals, over the power strips. The power strips were underwater. And we were standing in the water playing.
Oh, that shouldn't end badly at all.
Yeah. That's a Taylor Swift moment
is what that is.
I was in a chair, a metal chair, and I'm like standing up in the chair.
Well, they all seem to like me because they can kind of put me anywhere they want to put me because I don't take up any space. I'm just one guy and a couple of speakers. So, one day I'll be like in front of a whole bunch of people, make a ton of money, and then the next time they'll put me like in between two like rabbit or two carrot salesmen, and I'm like in between the tents,
It's the
hello,
competing carrot brothers, right? They're brothers. They own the 2 carrot farms in town, and they compete against each other viciously.
Yes, in between, the carrot farmer, the 2 competing carrot farmers, and then but don't get involved with those people that sell the beeswax candles, because man, those people will cut you.
They will cut you. Yeah, that's right.
They
will cut you, man.
My
We're
dad
talking like
used to
West
tell
Side
me-
Story. I mean, these people.
My dad told me a story about in his town. There were 2 hardware stores, and they were catty corner across the street from each other on like the main light in town. and they competed viciously against each other, but apparently they were owned by the same family.
Okay.
Well, that's a predatory
the
management.
fix was in. The fix was in. They just
Yeah.
wanted everybody to go there.
So Ed, similar to Zildjian and Sabian,
Yes. Same company?
brothers,
Wow.
family.
Oh,
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
friendly brothers or
Yeah.
They started off friendly.
Before it all began.
all right.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for
Long
this?
ago.
Then there was a
Trader
turn.
Joe's and Aldi are owned by brothers, and they hate each other, and they're like viciously trying to like put each other out of business.
Oh.
Wow. How about that?
look at
love,
that.
love to be
I
at
don't
that
remember where
family.
they're from. I'm going to look that up. It's a true
Yeah.
story.
Some
though.
interesting
Just, my
Thanksgivings.
brothers.
There's a Thanksgiving table where you don't want to be the one to carve the
Exactly.
turkey.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'll carve the turkey. You just keep those two away from the knives. That's
exactly.
totally,
Yeah.
Right.
Good move.
Let's
good
let
move.
Grandma cut the bird.
Yeah.
Right.
My God.
I don't know. That sounds like some kind of a euphemism. Cut the bird. Grandma, she cut the bird. you know?
Well, it dates back to the time of the Phoenicians, and
What's happening, Lorenz? How was your gig the other day?
Last night, we had a good time. It was a solstice gig arranged through Make Music New York. And we thought we had a spot up by the one of the ferry stops. So it would have been in some little micro park. It sounded gorgeous.
is someone feeding the velociraptors? What the hell's going on in the background?
In the background, you can hear
It's
flutter.
Velociraptor, I think.
Look at. I love
You
it.
have you have a Temu problem, I think.
I do, yeah. No, actually, I bought this at Cracker Barrel. I got the
Oh,
bear
wow.
head.
Well, that makes all the difference.
That
Yeah.
makes all the difference. The American Temu, right? They got the bear at
Look at
Cracker
that.
Barrel.
That is cool.
He's
I
actually
like
pretty
that.
Oh,
good.
that's good. That
That
like
is
He's got a
frightened little
his
children.
tongue flaps when he talks, you know.
Yeah.
that'll definitely
I
scare little
like
children.
that.
Yeah.
For me
Okay.
to poop on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So you guys played theremins in the street. I saw some videos about it.
We did. Three of us.
and the cops
we
came?
didn't know what we were facing. And
That's right.
we-
And the
we
cops
got
came?
this
As they
replacement.
do.
Did they?
The cops came.
So Lorenz, clear it up now that I've blown the story. So the cops showed up?
In fact, and it happens once a year, and I've told people that, man, if I lived there, I'd call the cops.
Well, they would have been there sooner, but they had to go break up a knife fight between two carrot vendors.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah. It
It's
was ugly.
a street level storefront. This place called Malt and Mold. They carry beers on tap. They have a great wheat beer, and cheese. So there's the Malt and Mold.
All right.
The proprietor Kevin has. I met him several years ago with Sarah, playing with Sarah and a couple other people. It was not the Theraminos before Theraminos came together, and I met Kevin back then, but I haven't seen him since then.
Yeah.
Excuse you, Will.
Is my mic not good or what?
No, you're doing
No,
fine.
it's-
You're doing
I
fine.
hit a string, so I was
just
pointing to
mocking
Frank
Will
as if it
because
was
of his
his fault.
delay.
But keep going, Lorenz. I'm sorry.
So anyway, we got this gig out in front of this Malt and Mold store. Now what I hadn't thought about is they now have one of these COVID eating pens on the sidewalk outside the storefront.
A COVID
Changes the
eating
whole-
pen. I love it. A COVID eating pen. That's great.
It changes the whole sidewalk dynamic. We cannot block the sidewalk, what's left of it, but fortunately, the storefront next door and its eating pen they're out of business, so we can use their eating pen. So we got this inter-store space and the other pen, and we spread ourselves out a bit, and it worked out okay. And we had much more of a captive audience than the last time we played there, because usually it's just people walking by and they stop for a little bit, but
And they're like, what the hell is going on? There's
Yeah,
three
this time
theremins playing right there.
exactly.
And you sound like a fire truck going by anyway. So
Oh yeah, there was one of those videos, Ed's a couple of people posted some videos. Karen Diane is her name. She's a friend of Sarah's, and she posted a few videos. One of them is this thing we call rise, where I usually start low, but we go low, middle, and high, and we just kind of go really creeping up slowly, and then whoever's up here kind of jumps back in somewhere down here, and we do that for a couple of minutes, and that's usually the first thing we do, and that's what that is. It helps us kind of figure out what's going on in the space, and how do we sound, and is my
Calibration
machine
exercise.
working?
And do you just like and then you just amplify all of this through a PA, and like how do you
We each have our own amp.
Okay, all right.
And you almost always have to do that with the theremin. You at least need your own monitor or headphones, because you got to hear what you're playing.
Yeah,
Completely.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Now, what other kind of effects change do you throw through that thing? Because I mean, I would think that you could combine a theremin with an analog delay and a flanger and really make somebody's head cave in.
One of the things I did, I mean, we took turns after our rides, just running solos that were, from 3 different directions. We bring these things, and one of the things I did I was running things through a little Roland Cube amp, and that has a flanger built in.
Oh, wow.
I was goofing around with this earlier. I thought, well, for this particular kind of messing around sound, that's perfect. I was kind of a droning thing, and then it was. So I cranked that up on one of those pieces. I didn't use any other effect on the amp. I did have my lovely Electro Harmonix Oceans 11 reverb, very clean, and it's got several modes and voices, kind of weird things it can do. Mostly I like the plain old room reverb. It's just really nice and clean. But there's one that gives you a whole bunch of what do they call it, glimmer or shimmer or something like this.
Right, well, play octaves back at you.
Yeah. Lots of angels and things. That was really good for something. Oh, Blue Bayou, playing Blue Bayou, and especially out on the street, everything you're playing just like dissipates like in like 5 feet. So trying to push it out there. That actually helped a bit. This nice shimmer thing helped the sound sort of like hang out there. Cool. At least from my perspective.
So, question: Can I bring this back to the police? Did you get beaten up or taken to jail? Did they smash your equipment? I'm waiting to hear the shit, man. Tell me.
They went to tase him, but they figured that the Unibot was already doing that.
Exactly.
It was the staging couldn't have been better for just street drama, because I'm playing on a sort of fringe. We've got the malt and mold shop over here, and then kind of a spot where like delivery doors in between the 2 shops, and then the other shop. Sarah and Raphael are here, and I'm in the eating pen of the other shop. And when the cops arrived, I'm standing by because Raphael's got a solo going on, and they come up to me and they go, "Who's in charge here?" Reasonable question. And at some point,
don't shoot me. I'm not just a theremin player.
Is there a problem? It's like, well, we're getting several calls. Sorry, they were like apologetic. I was really
Wow.
Yeah, we don't really like to hassle you guys. We think this is great. That's what the guy got. Okay, officer, sure. You want to know who's in charge? It's still not me, but we'll go get him. And
that sounds like.
In the meantime, I'm up, and I start playing Dancing Cheek to Cheek. Ooh. And the proprietor comes out, and he meets with the cops, and they end up standing right behind me, vis-a-vis like most of the audience, and all the video cameras. So like there's cops behind me, and I'm like, dee, 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 dee.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, it was no problem. The proprietor had his permit through Make Music New York. It does happen once a year, and
right.
The neighbors grumble, and it's once a year.
Wow.
You know what you need to do? You need to say to the cops, "Hey guys, I'm really glad you made it down here because What you saw was a weather balloon. Look right into this
Oh,
instrument right
yeah,
here.
exactly. Look right in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, the cops in Cambridge are great because they're Cambridge is very music friendly, so they'll let you do almost anything. The first time I was there, I got real nervous because this guy walked right up to me and looks me right in the eye and says, "Do you know Wichita lineman?"
Wow.
Like, yeah, yes, I do actually. Can you play that? Yeah, absolutely.
What
Yeah, sure.
happens
Give me a
if
minute.
I
I'll
don't?
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, play a song, Will Baird.
Oh, well,
What do you
okay.
got?
How about Wichita lineman?
Do it.
Sure, why not?
There you go. Love it.
How's that for a segue, Batman?
Exactly.
Oh my God, he's gonna do it.
All right.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. Nice.
Couldn't have hoped for a better
Very
segue
good.
than that, you know.
No, absolutely.
Very
That was
good.
like a plan. That's like pulling a
Will
rabbit
do
out of
one,
a
and I was
hat.
like, oh my god,
Like sorcery.
Beautiful.
The
Beautiful.
writers of the show really know what they're doing when they get work up these
that's
segues.
right. Yeah, when
In
they,
here, I thought they were
Exactly.
on strike.
That's
they actually
right.
seem
Oh,
like they're
they've been on strike since show number 1. Don't worry. So, Will Baird, you've actually inspired me to do something, right? So, I remember in the beginning when you did not join JMTV on the early side. You joined like, we were a bunch of episodes in, right? Do you have any?
Yeah, because
Did
I
you
was still
venture
trying
to
to
guess
figure
how
out like
far
what
in
I
was
was
it?
going to do. Yeah,
Like
I was,
episode 40 or something, right?
Yeah, somewhere it might have been sooner than that, but you're right. Yeah, I didn't start right away because I didn't have any backing tracks. I hadn't really figured out what I was going to do. You know.
Right.
I just
And so
knew
and
that-
I remember what we were talking about. I think you even said something because you're not like some of these guys on JMTV. They're like, give me my time. I'm going to play some songs for you. You're like, do you think it's appropriate that we? And I remember you're saying like, well, I'm not doing vocal music. I'm doing acoustic music. And, what do you think that'll go over and whatever. And I remember thinking, like, somebody asks you a question, you don't know the answer, you kind of make it up, and then you sell it like you really have a conviction about it.
I call that having a conversation with Ed.
Exactly. So I was like, well, you might be right. It might be too like of a different feel. The show is a lot of minor chords and blues and gritty stuff, and and Bill Noman doing troubadour stuff and whatever, and then it really, you are one of the highlights of the show since you've been on, and people write people write in from our Asian audience, and they're like, we love Will Baird, he's so great, where can we buy his music? And so lately I've been thinking, I'm not a front man, right? I don't sing. I mean, I can sing, but I don't sing. And I don't wake up in the morning going, I have to sing a song. I don't remember the lyrics, really. I don't really care about the lyrics. I care about to me, the voice is a little bit like an instrument, and, and I like the whole arrangement and the feel of a song and all that. And I've never been a solo artist. Like, I don't sit and play piano for people having dinner and stuff. It's not really, I'm a side man. I like playing a band. Whatever I'm playing, if it's got a keyboard on it, an accordion or a little organ or a bigger organ or whatever, I'll play with a band. And I like having a bass player and a drummer and a front person. Don't look at me. I'll just do what I do. And I've been thinking that I've always been wanting to have a solo act. And actually, Frank, you inspired me in a way as well. I was like, God, you can go get solo gigs, and then you invite somebody to play with you. Now you got a duo, and I never did that kind of a thing. And so I'm putting together something now. I'm in the middle of putting it together, a la Will Baird, where I'm gonna have backing tracks and looping as part of it.
Very cool.
Nice.
And I'm gonna do like organ trio stuff, like the Meters and Booker T and the MGs. And I'm just gonna do them straight ahead, maybe with my own flavor, playing Hammond organ or playing accordion, things where I'll have some backing tracks that I'm gonna play. I'm gonna start, so you'll be seeing me around doing that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Very
because
cool.
of you guys.
I'm
You heard it
complimented.
first.
You heard
That's
it
right.
first.
That's right.
You heard it.
What I
first.
heard is now I have to compete with him for gigs, but that's fine.
it. That's it. I'll be like, hey, Frank, so where are you playing?
Exactly. There
Who
you
does
go.
the booking there?
Yeah.
Yes. Look it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's easy for me because since I'm in a different state, I don't have to worry about Ed
Right.
competing with me.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
I'm like,
you know
oh,
what? We're all pulling on the same rope here, honestly.
You'll show up at the lobby of the hospital to play, and I'll be on a screen in the hospital playing remotely.
No! Why, God? Why?
Exactly. My God. Yeah. So
Jurassic Park with Alan, the Velociraptor that just popped up in the guy's nightmare.
Right.
That's Ed. Alan. Except he'll have the little dog thing, a little bear head on his hand.
Oh, the bear thing.
I'll bring all my little toys, my little robots.
What's the story
There you
behind
go.
that bear
There you
head?
go.
That's like
I
the
got the
scariest.
robot.
Oh, yes. There you go.
The little robot, and you can wind him up. And
He
walks.
saw it, the little voice said, "Gimme."
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I got
Give me that.
I got my bear head.
That's the one that scares me. Yeah, I'm gonna have nightmares about that
If
one.
I pull this one
Nightmares.
down, it's gonna knock the monitor off the. Oh my God, no! I can't even. No, I'm
It
not
looks
pulling
like-
that out. It's
not-
gonna
you're
pull
not
a whole
gonna go-
shelf on top of me. But I have various things hanging around the studio here.
Benjamin Raspale's head in a jar, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, it kind of is. I wish I could get it.
That's a
Frank,
silence
your
of the
imagination
lambs.
Live on
frightens
Jam
me.
TV. Here we go. Live.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. No, it's gonna come out. There it is. I've got my hangman,
Ooh.
right? It's a hangman, but it's
Okay.
US.
Oh,
It's a
oh,
look at
USB.
that.
It's a
I have one of
USB
those.
splitter.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And that
I
looks
see.
to
I
me
love
like-
it.
That looks to me like
but
Mr.
it's a hangman, so it's a bad.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Okay.
that looks like
Did
Mr.
you
Bill.
steal that from me? I swear I have one of those around.
I
Yeah.
bet you do.
I think it's.
I got my Robbie the robot, and
Robbie the robot.
yeah. So
Now that looks to me like Mr. Bill from the early Saturday Night Live
Oh, yeah.
sketches.
I knew the writer of
Yeah,
Mr.
with
Bill.
it.
I knew the creator of Mr. Bill, a guy named
strange.
Bob Lalos, who was a writer at Saturday Night Live. And he came up with Mr. Bill and the whole idea for Mr. Bill. He wrote Mr. Bill.
Right.
Can you
Nice
imagine
guy.
like pitching? These guys they spend like all day on Tuesday pitching ideas to one another. And they've got to be some pretty weird ideas, and some of them probably hilarious, and some of them are really like horribly strange.
These guys were so funny. I used to be in the television business. I had a studio, and I had 5 offices that we didn't use in our facility, in our studio. And we gave the offices to prominent people, producers, writers, in hopes that they would bring people in who would then use our studio, which worked great. And so this guy, Bob Lalos, was Saturday Night Live, and he was funny as hell, this guy. And he had clients like he did the Gilbert Godfrey shows, or Gilbert Godfrey was hanging around. And he also did Dr. Ruth. He produced and wrote for Dr. Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
And she would come all the time. And they would all just sit around laughing their asses off. And I would like knock on the door and I would come in and they'd be in the office like cracking up. And they were they could take anything that you were talking about. I remember that I was getting into aviation. I was like getting out of television and getting into aviation. And they were like, they would just riff on jokes. They would all just sit around like throwing jokes out about any subject, like an improv show.
Like this show, but funny.
Like this show, but funny.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good.
And those people were so, some people are just naturally funny.
Yeah.
And they better end up in a writer's room somewhere.
Yeah.
One would hope.
Exactly.
One would
Not
hope.
in a submarine. Yeah.
Will Baird, you got one more for us?
I think I could come up with one more, although the segue will never be as good as the one you just gave me.
All right.
Yeah, I keep, I think about like what gap do I fill? We got like Bill who does like everything, this whole like landscape. You have Frank who does like really classy, tasteful stuff, 60s, 70s, little 50s, and so that kind of leaves me with like, okay, where do I fit in? So
I was just
which is
cleaning
where
the gap in my teeth. I was trying.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Nobody got it. So there you go.
Nobody got it. Look at
I'm like, they're like, he's picking his teeth on the show. Like, oh my God, it's the gap in the teeth. Yeah. Right.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, but that's the U2 song. But this is actually John Hyatt. So
Nice.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's right, man. Have a little faith.
You can't. It's a bummer. You can't you can't call a mulligan in the middle of a song. Ed has like, called me out, when I started something, I go, I gotta do that over again. But it's like you screw up in the middle of a song. It's too bad. Just got.
It's all right, man.
You are committed.
You can have
Nobody hears. Nobody notices the screw ups. Only you do. It's amplified 1,000 times more when you do it for yourself. Nobody hears it. I remember I played a gig once. I was with a band, and I had a big keyboard setup, and I was doing organ and piano, and I was playing, clavinet, and I had a keyboard dedicated for horns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I had this very aggressive, like Tower of Power kind of horn sound going on, and it was all connected with MIDI cables, so data going between the instruments, and I hit a chord, and then I lifted my hands off, and the chord kept going. And I hit another chord, and all those notes stuck on. And then I was like, by the time I realized what was going on, all the notes were stuck on. It was blaring for it seemed like 10 seconds, but it was probably 4 seconds, right? And it's going, it's like the worst, horrible, all the notes, right? And I had to at first I was like, what do I do to make it stop? I had to figure out what instrument it was triggering, and when I kill all my other ones. And by the time I figured it out, I unplugged it all, whatever. And at the end of the song, I said, and the place was full, the dance floor was full, whatever. At the end of the song, I said to the guys in the band, I said, God, I'm really sorry about that. That was a mess. And they looked at me like, what was a mess?
That's right. That was so out there, man. I mean, it was just totally out.
It sounded like fire trucks having a fire truck crash up derby or whatever. It was just the worst, and nobody heard it. So don't worry about it.
That's your classic level 1 mistake.
Nobody got it. I like that. Level 1 mistake is within the key, and then a level 2 mistake is outside of the key, and then level 3 mistake is something really bad.
Well, you're close. So a level 1 mistake, you fucked up.
That's good. I like that.
Okay.
But nobody else does.
Level 2 mistake. The band knows you fucked up.
Yes, but still.
So you fucked up. Yeah. The band knows you fucked up. The crowd, jiving. They don't care.
You tell them
3, you get a
3
Facebook post about it. Everybody knows you fucked up.
Right.
3
that was probably a level 7.5 to level 1. You know what I mean? So
it's good. Thank you for
I forget who told me that one, but it works out very, very well for a lot of that.
Level
stuff.
4 is that your drunk girlfriend can notice that it causes problems later. Level 5 is
you're just wonderful.
People on the space station are calling, going, "You screwed the song up.
Yes.
What the fuck are you doing?"
level 5 is God. God knows.
Exactly.
It's going in your record.
Well, that's like when you're doing a religious service or something. That's those are the most terrifying gigs I ever play. Is like a memorial. I did a memorial. Maybe I told this joke, but several weeks ago, I did a memorial, and the minister was supposed to cue me, and I'm waiting for her, and she's not cueing me or anything, and then she starts talking. So, and the assistant pastor comes up to me and says, "We can't hear you," and I say, "I haven't started yet."
That's because
she just forgot that I was there, and started in, But I just
You're
loved
supposed
that.
to know. We
have
told
to
you it was
move.
after the blessing of the animals.
Right.
Yeah, but that was my favorite soundbite. "We can't hear you. I haven't started yet."
There's a reason for that. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I just the fear of playing the wrong note, when people are sobbing on someone's coffin, that terrifies me. It's like, this is important stuff. We got married. The guy played an F sharp. It was awful.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I would think something like that, it would actually almost come as a moment of levity, and it would help kind of break the ice, kind of thing. Especially if whoever it was happened to be a smart ass. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys have seen the YouTube video for that funeral in Ireland where the guy basically got a tape recording of himself. So they're lowering the box in the ground, and somebody starts a tape, and he's just, "Hello, hello, it's fucking dark in here. What the fuck are you doing?"
That's bad.
So just somebody basically trying to crack the ice. It's like, okay, this is supposed to be a dark time, but take a fucking joke.
That sounds like the Gene Young Frankenstein, Gene Wilder, going into the monster and saying, no matter what I say, do not open this door. If I beg, if I scream, if I yell, do not open this door.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
I'll kick you right.
Open the door. Open the door. Open the goddamn door. Open the door. Open.
That's a great movie.
That's what Saved by the Bell means. Did you know that? Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
They used to not. I guess they weren't really good at pronouncing people dead. They weren't always dead. So they used to put a string that went down into the coffin in the ground, and they put a bell up on the grave. And if the person woke up in the coffin, they could yank the string. It doesn't look right. They could yank the string, and then they like the bell rings, and they dig them back up again.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. Same. I mean, the whole concept of awake. I mean, that's the same exact deal. I mean, it's one of the reasons what and that whole concept was you're supposed to just put them in the room and just kind of hope for the best. Poke them every now and again, that kind of thing, and just see whether or not they wake up.
I don't know what's more disturbing to me, the content of this or the fact that you guys know so much about death.
You're the one playing at the funeral, for crying out loud.
That's true. I mean, we're just adding context here. You're the one actually monetizing the deal. We're just no crap.
I got paid for not playing. Yeah.
Oh
my God.
Great gig.
So, Frank, what do you got? Play us something.
Sure.
And Frank, before you start, how's that finger? It's
still there.
Yeah.
Still carved up a little bit, but it's
bloody finger.
Thankfully, it's the correct finger. So now I want to play Finnegan's Wake for whatever reason. Maybe I'll play that one in a minute. But I actually had this one here, one that I just worked up. This is a new song for me. It still dates back to the 1980s. So. I'm going to put the little cheater thing over on the side as well, just in case I need it. So if you see me looking that way, I don't remember the words. Walls are built up, stone by stone. Fields divided one by one. And the train conductor says, take a break, driver eight, take a break. We've been on this shit too long. And the train conductor says, take a break, driver eight, take a break. We can't reach our destination. Saw a treehouse on the outskirts of the town. Airlines have floated so the airplanes won't get snagged. Bells are ringing through the town again. Children look up, all they hear is sky blue bells ringing. And the train conductor says, take a break, driver eight. Driver eight, take a break. We can't reach our destination. Still a ways away. Still a ways away. Still a ways away. Where to feel the hated heat. Where to put myself to sleep. Where to feel the hated heat. Put myself, my children to sleep. I pilot a song on a plane like that one. She is selling faith on the go-tell crusades. Hope to motivate Southern Crescent, hear the bells ring again. Feel the weed get out there. And the train conductor says, take a break, driver eight. Driver eight, take a break. We can't on this shit too long. And the train conductor says, take a break, driver eight. Driver eight, take a break. can't reach our destination. Still a ways away. Still a ways away. Still a ways away. Thanks.
All right.
Nice, Frank.
Thank you. A little REM.
12-string.
Yeah. I figured
Very
I'd
cool.
bust this one up.
Yeah.
This is actually the first real guitar I ever bought.
That's really funny. I was listening to it, so I don't have my glasses on, right? I was listening to it, and I'm like, that's the best 12-string effect that I've ever heard. Like, it's really real.
You're not
Amazing.
wrong. You're not wrong. This is a
box.
very, very
Yeah,
good
right.
12-string effect.
Actually, well,
Yes.
it was. Were you using like the Helicon in the background every now and then?
Yeah, every now and again I was
Yeah,
trying to
that's
just
cool.
throw a
You-
little bit
it's-
of backdrop. I
it's-
mean,
it
that
sounds-
Helicon is just so nice too because the little things that it does to zhuzh up the guitar tone
Yeah.
are just, it just makes all the difference in the world as far as
Well,
I'm
it sounded
concerned.
like you were using it for vocal harmonies a little bit here and there too.
Oh yeah. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to throw a little high third
Yeah, it's
in
just
every
very
now
natural. It's very. It's not like hey, where's this harmony coming from? It's just very in the background.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's certain settings, there's certain presets on this Helicon that definitely are better than others. Like you can go in on some of these things. Like there's a Sweet Judy Blue Eyes setting that just it doesn't really work. It's it's a glorious concept, but no, it's. But yeah, no, I love this instrument. I got this thing at Connecticut Music for $125.
Oh my God,
about
I remember.
1986,
expensive, though.
87, something like that. So
Yeah, but you could buy a muscle car for $150. So.
yeah, exactly. But this thing, and it's all, you can't see it on the TV, but just the soundboard is all just cracked to hell, and I have to tune it a half a step low, otherwise the soundboard will rip out of the, it's,
Wow.
it takes little extra bits and pieces to kind of be nice on this thing, but
I'm just imagining you like as a teacher saying, and you get the best sound by tuning this a half step lower than usual. And in the meantime, you're actually trying to keep your guitar from in front of the student.
yeah, I mean, there actually is, to speak of that kind of thing, there actually is a lot of research that's been done with like that 25.5-inch scale that's most acoustic instruments and most Fender instruments, where when you actually tune that thing a half step low, it just brings out this certain tonality in the instrument.
Wow.
It was one of the things that probably, I think Hendrix probably discovered by accident, because when he was a sideman for Little Richard in the early and middle part of the 1960s. And figure the odds, Little Richard had this monstrous horn section. And what's the saxophone player's favorite key?
B flat.
Ding. So instead of constantly having to transpose stuff on the fly, the rumor has it that Hendrix just said, screw it. And he tuned his guitar a half step low. So he just didn't have to deal with it. And it unlocked this secret sauce on that instrument.
Right.
That Leo Fender, late genius that he was, he just engineered this stuff in just because of the mojo that crazy bastard had. Figuring stuff out, and it unlocked this great level on the instrument that just gives this nice, kind of growl to it.
That's cool.
And then Stevie Ray Vaughan obviously ran with it as well, because he wanted to have those big, heavy honking strings and stuff, where he would basically turn his, like the high E string, I think for Stevie Ray Vaughan was like a 14. Something
Wow.
like that. It was like other people's G string. So he would do a bend and literally it would do like a cheese cutter thing and just slice his calluses right off.
Yeah.
Wow.
But because he was coked out of his face, he didn't know that.
Didn't notice. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he would actually go in and let's just hear it for drug and alcohol abuse, because only somebody that is coked and blasted out of their mind would say, yeah, this is a good idea. He would basically go through it. He would put crazy glue on the forearm and stick his fingers to that and then rip it off. And then just do that repeatedly to basically rebuild the calluses on his hand. Or he would do the crazy glue and baking soda trick.
Yeah. Right.
And he would basically just fill in these cavities and caverns and craters in his fingertips from where he was basically ripping them off because of his horrendously aggressive, abusive playing style.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you know Fred Clark. Did you ever meet Fred at one of my jams? He's a great
Name
guitar
rings
player.
a bell.
Friend of mine, great guitar player, but kind of an aggressive guitar player. And he wanted, I don't know which nail. I guess it was this nail. If you're playing guitar, you want to have certain nails that are whatever. And he would go to a nail salon and have them put on a carbon fiber nail.
Yeah.
And then and he would rip his nails and he'd be bleeding all over the instrument. And he'd be crazy gluing himself during the break, like all the time. And he was a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan.
Yeah, there's been a number of musicians. Actually, what's her name from the 90s? Annie DeFranco. She was another one who did that. And she had this really crazy percussive finger picking style. She did a lot of open chords and such. And she would do the same kind of thing where she would basically just like super glue acrylic nails onto her fingertips to because she didn't like using finger picks for whatever reason.
Yeah, James Taylor.
Yeah, James Taylor does the same thing. Actually, he does the same deal. He uses those lead press on nails plus a little crazy glue, I guess.
Yeah, he comes out and I'm going to show you how to create some false nails. Now I've got this little box here, and he's got this little green, fisherman's box, and in this I've got some acrylic, and then I've also got a little bit of a false nails here, and then what I'm going to do, he's like for half an hour, he's like showing you how to do this. It's like. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's time he doesn't have to spend playing. He's getting paid no matter what. So what the hell? Sure, why not turn it into an infomercial?
Except, if you like scratch your eyes or something, you got these huge hooks for fingers.
You could do nice work with crazy glue. You could be good. I'm actually very good as a boat captain. I learned how to do crazy glue repairs to people because if you're offshore and somebody gets cut, you got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And so what I did was, I'm driving home after a gig one night in my really crappy at the time, so I had these like Dodge Grand Caravan minivans that all I used it for was, I had a car, but then I used that for hauling my music gear, so I wouldn't have to unload it. And because I had gigs every day, whatever. So I run this one into the ground. Like this car wouldn't die, but it should have been dead a year ago. It looked bad. It was like the suspension was shot. It was kind of bouncy. And I'm in Bridgeport. I'm going back to my boat. I lived on my boat at the time. I'm going back to my boat down this like desolate street at 2:00 in the morning. And there was a manhole cover that, like the manhole, the surrounding ring was sticking up about that far from the ground. So, like the cement had receded underneath it, right? And you know what it was? You ever notice that the road under a railroad track is always like ruined? You ever notice that? Like if you
but I'll take your word for it.
If you go now, watch. If you go under a railroad track, a railroad bridge, the cement, the asphalt under it is always horrible potholes because the city is not allowed to work on that. They're not allowed to do any work under the track because they're worried
it's not their property.
They're going to screw up the track. All right, exactly.
Right.
Or you can't do it. So,
right away from the rail line.
So they never do it, right? So it's all really bad. So this manhole cover, it all receded down. It was like just past that, and my car came out of a traffic light. I'm only going like 1 mile an hour, and the car bounced on the bad bumps, and the suspension was it bounced up and down and up, and then the cross member, the axle, whatever that is, it hit the manhole cover. And the airbag decided that I was in a 20G accident, right?
Because you were.
Right. And so the airbag, so I'm going 1 mile an hour. And all of a sudden, I don't know if you ever had an airbag go off in your face. It is bad. It's like getting punched when you're not expecting it by Mike Tyson. Like it's like boom, right?
Yeah.
And then it deflates immediately, right? So it goes boom, boom, it's gone. And so I look, I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like it's dark out and the car stopped and there's nobody around. And I look in the mirror and the pressure of the airbag hitting me had popped my skin. Like you probably know as an EMT, right? Well, Barrett, it hit me and it popped the skin and I'm covered in blood, right? It's just like a little tiny thing, but it squished out a lot of blood. And so I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dead. Like this is the last thing I'm ever gonna see. It's like
I've been JFK'd.
I think that's my brain.
Headshot.
Yeah, I think my brain. Yeah, I have no idea what was happening. Right. So
blows to the head will do that to you.
But then I was like, I think I'm okay. I'm like, I feel sort of okay. Like, And so I drove. I was only a quarter mile from where the boat was. So I drive down to the boat, and I get to the boat, and I call Pierre Gerton, my sax playing friend. I call him up, and I said, Pierre, it's like 2 a.m, right? I said, Pierre, you need to get in your car and drive down to my boat right now. And if I'm dead or unconscious, you need to call the ambulance because I got to fix my face, right? So I went and got my crazy glue kit out on the boat, right?
Oh my God.
And I cleaned my face up. I didn't have any like alcohol, so I used vodka, right? And I cleaned out, and I'm like, like hell, right? And as I cleaned
That worked
myself,
just the way everybody anticipated it.
oh my God. And I cleaned myself out, and then I fixed myself. I had this gash like right here. It was really bad.
Holy shit.
And I got it together. I was laying on my back, and I'm dripping the crazy glue into it in the middle of the night. And I'm closing it up and holding. And the biggest problem with crazy glue is that you're holding it shut, and then you're like, uh-oh.
Right.
Yeah.
My hand is now stuck to
right.
my forehead.
The next impression,
Right.
the thinker.
Yeah. I've done
So,
that.
but I did a wonderful job. Like I swear to you, you cannot see it at all. It's
Wow.
it's like you can look if you look with a magnifying glass, you can
Yeah.
tell. So you can do the moral of that story. You could do really nice work. You don't have to just slather it on. You can do a nice job.
Ed keyboard,
Wow.
Ed trained keyboard player and cosmetic surgeon.
Yes,
Exactly.
unlicensed doctor.
Unlicensed.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
one of those airbags going off at you. That's like hitting it with a boxing glove. It's the same concept.
It's
Leather grabs
insane.
the skin and just
It's
pops it right
insane.
open.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the worst experience ever. You get hit with this airbag, and then I got a car with the airbag. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's the end of this car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Airbags, they come out, they're usually about 60 miles an hour is how it explodes. So you don't want to be close to it.
No,
If you're
no,
ever
that's-
driving, don't ever turn the wheel like this with your arm across.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
if that
that's a
airbag goes
broken
off and
forearm.
your arm is, your arm will be in multiple pieces.
Is it a loud bang also? Is it like you're hearing?
Yeah,
that
it's like
for
a
while?
bomb going off. And you see,
'Cause it's an
look, I
explosive
understand
device.
if your airbag goes off, if you slam on the brakes, you're going 50 miles an hour and you see the cow in the road and you slam on the brakes and you're screeching to a halt, then the airbag goes off. You're like, you saw it coming, right?
Yeah, right.
But you were already braced for
this one-
impact. But
yeah.
when you don't know anything is happening, like going 1 mile an hour and I bounce into this thing.
Yeah, but I could see where the airbag would go off because a lot of those things. I mean, you're dealing with accelerometers and things that are built into that piece, and and when you hit that piece of suspension, that's a major stop, and you're doing a major torque to the whole body of the car. That's a major like transition to the attitude of the vehicle.
That's right.
Even though it was just a glancing little shot, so I could see definitely where an airbag would go off on something like that, even though you're going at a relatively low speed.
It's true. Speaking of a major transition to attitude,
Oh boy, there he is.
Dave Lindsay
Yeah,
I
it wasn't.
and Dennis.
I was waiting to see what the segue was going to be. If it's
Yeah,
going to be. Speaking of manholes, here's
There we go. There it is.
speaking of airbags. Here's
Airbag.
Dave.
God.
Hello, Dave.
what's up, guys. How's
I,
it going?
I have something to show you.
Whoa!
All
What?
right.
Oh no!
Oh dear, here we go.
It's not a
Did you
manhole.
see that?
Yeah, it better not be. Yeah.
I see
Oh,
that.
there
Yeah.
it is.
You did
There's
see
the
that,
little baby.
that came
I
today.
thought we were heading back towards manholes for a second.
No,
Yeah, I was afraid too.
Dave, you do play drums, right? You're a
I
drummer.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm showing you. Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, that came today before Jam TV started.
I like that color. What?
It's aqua blue.
Okay.
Does it show that way through the webcam?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Oh,
definitely.
okay. Like
Yeah, very much.
a robin's egg.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
ever seen a robin?
Very nice.
Bird? Aqua blue.
birds.
Yeah, man. I'm all excited.
That's
Ready-
exciting.
I was telling the guys that I'm ready to do some hybrid drumming. Yes.
Hybrid.
Triggers,
as
hybrid
in-
drummers. Yes, triggers on them.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Acoustic
Yeah.
electric.
Exactly, guys. Yeah. Anyway,
So you're
Yeah.
going to horn section in there as well, then, huh?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I could. Yes.
You could trigger that.
I could do that. Yeah.
So what's happening, Dave Lindsay? What's going on with you?
I don't know. Life is busy, Ed.
Good.
Trying to. I got a couple gigs this weekend.
Nice.
one of them's outside on Saturday, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that one.
Bring it
Where's that? Where's
That's
that?
tough. Yeah.
That one's going to be in Weston, a private party in Weston, and apparently they have a basement. That's all our alternative. I'm like, yeah, I didn't sign up for that load in.
Yeah, that's kind of a drag.
So I have it on good authority that a 13 by 13 pavilion, pop-up pavilion, probably might be a good investment for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as that ride symbol's not hanging out, right?
Oh, look.
There's a guy who watches the show. My God.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
He's paying attention, man, while he's eating
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah, well, I figure sometimes there's a quiz, right? So I want to be prepared. You know?
Well done, sir.
So
Well,
let me ask you guys. Let me ask you guys back east. Is there nasty weather or something? What's happening?
It's just
cool, though.
it's summer now, so you got
Right.
that chance of every day, 60%
Every day.
chance of something
Yeah,
every
it
day.
was. Yeah, it was just a really weird, unsettled thing. 'Cause it's like I was slated to play this farmers market thing for about a week or so, and just and looked at the forecast like last week. It was, everything's fine. Over the last 24 hours, it changed to like 80% chance of rain all day long, and it stayed that until an hour and 10 minutes before I was supposed to play. And I said, "Oh, never mind, we're wrong." And so,
Wow.
I guess I'm fucking playing. So
That's right. Today was nothing. We got no rain out here.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely. It was
Poconos.
zero.
Nothing.
I mean, it looked like it
Yeah.
wanted to for the most time it was there, but thankfully I was able to set up in such a spot where I didn't need the tent. There was a tree that was kind of right there that
that's-
would have worked for cover, and I had my vehicle parked
God
close enough
bless
that I
trees.
could have scattered all the stuff back in. Plus, I've learned my lesson, and I have a couple of heavy-duty garbage bags right in the stuff, so I can cover over stuff in a hurry if I have to. I learned slow, but I learned.
Well,
Way up in the mountain.
we had a really long dry spell with no rain, like 3-4 weeks, a couple of weeks ago, and now I think we're getting the opposite. Of course, right when all my outdoor gigs are starting.
Naturally. Naturally.
That's the problem. As you know, if you are the leader of a Tuesday night jam in Freeze Park starting in 2 weeks, as you know, like you go down and you set up and you pray because there's a thunderstorm like going right by. It's gonna
We're supposed to start on next Tuesday. That's our first night. So we do this open jam in a park in Norwalk, and
Really?
and it's always a battle against the weather. And I've got like 5 weather apps on my phone, and I check them all,
Triangulate them all.
say.
Yeah.
And you can see like a cloud going by, like a green blob of rain, right? And you're like, all right, well, it's kind of on the edge of where we are. Like, it might land on us, it might not land on us.
Right.
And
And
it's
then
like
the trees start going like this, and you're like, oh my God, I got to break the gear down, and then it stops and it's fine.
right. Yeah, and it's kind of a balancing act because obviously we don't want to get our gear wet, right?
Naturally.
Plus, nobody's going to come out if it's raining. But
Right.
so this year we have we've hired a sound guy, so we have to let him know in advance, okay? Because if he needs to know by a certain time of the day, otherwise he's getting paid regardless of what happens.
Right.
So we always try to make the call by 3 p.m., but a lot of the time it's not possible. So we end up going down to the park, looking around, like watching the radar. And a lot of times, I mean, there's been plenty of times when we've set up, played for an hour, and then had to break down.
Yeah.
And it just seems like every summer that it's always a question mark.
Yep. It's a question mark. So if you who's played at the Crab Shell? Anybody play at the Crab Shell?
Yeah.
So
Many
if you
moons
play-
ago.
If you play at the Crab Shell, their deal with you, I'm sure it's the same deal now, is if you come down and set up all your gear and it rains during the first set, you break down and you leave and you get no money. But if you set up your gear, play the first set, take a break, come back, and you're in the second set playing, you get 50% of your money if you have to break down for rain. And if you make it to the third set, then you get all your money. So the odds of making it through the show, you got a 30-40% chance it's not going to happen or it's going to be a mess.
And what happens if your first set is 4 songs long?
There it is. First
Yeah,
exactly. Half the song. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. The next set's coming.
Well, so we do this jam. We have 10 weeks scheduled, 10 Tuesdays throughout the summer, and we have sponsors. And obviously, our sponsors are hoping that they get their 10 weeks of announcements and advertising. I mean, obviously, I throw all that stuff up on social media, regardless.
Right.
But I feel bad if we have to cancel, because that's a week down, and it's such a short season that everyone that we have to cancel is like money down the drain for them. And
right.
Yeah.
Where's the park you're doing it this next Tuesday?
It's called Freeze Park. It's downtown Norwalk, the corner of Wall Street and Main Street. There's a little park right on the side of the river.
And it's just like a flat patch of grass.
So right down the road from where Shenanigans used to be, basically.
No.
Wall Street.
The other downtown
That's
Norwalk.
Washington Street.
Okay.
That's not Sono. I don't know what else is down there. BJ Ryan's, you know where that is, Frank?
Wall Street Theater is there.
Wall Street Theater, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Library.
All right.
Library, yeah.
Norwalk has a lot of nerve, okay? Norwalk has a lot of nerve. Because you say Norwalk, there are like 8 little Norwalk downtown areas. You mean
true.
up by the Green or up by the Route 7 or
over by Town
like,
Hall? That's true.
Town Hall, right? Town Hall is like another place. It's very
Then there's
scattered, like a lot of Connecticut.
And there's the projects, Rudner Court. There's that part of the city.
Well, that's very cool. So you're starting this Tuesday at Freeze Park.
That's the plan. Now, obviously, the weather is a concern already. So, I mean, we are planning to play, and we'll see what happens.
Okay then.
Oh, let's see here. Let's see what's going to happen in Norwalk. I bet it says rain. No.
Yeah, it's like it's a 55% chance of rain or something like that.
Exactly. There's no way out of it.
What does that mean?
Let's see. Norwalk, huh? I don't know.
So at
All
what
it means
point
is
are
it's
you?
a headache for me.
Well, so have you contemplated getting a sponsor that is, I don't know, a tent company?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there, guys.
Now, this is why I come on the show, because there's a lot of geniuses in these little boxes on the screen.
Frank.
Hopefully, my wife is listening when you just said that. Because
So I have a question for you, Dave Lindsay. Did you just look at the weather? Because it's literally a 55% chance of rain.
Well, I've been looking at it for as long as it shows up on the forecast. I did look at it
5%.
like this morning. I think I looked again. Yeah, so
Still a ways off.
Yeah.
okay, so basically, you're at the point where
Scattered.
next step is sacrificing chickens, I guess.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. That's
A
a
little
good idea.
voodoo in there. Why
That's a
not?
very good idea.
Yeah,
Right.
doing outdoor shows is really crazy. And then what happens is you play like early in the season or late in the season. It could be 40 degrees out, when
Right.
you play.
Right.
right.
So,
Sometimes we can make up like maybe one at the end of the season. We go into September, but we don't really go much further than that. And it's always a crapshoot. People have their calendars set, and I mean, not that Tuesday's the busiest night of the week, but sometimes people have something else going on. So,
right.
yeah, but we're excited. It's 10 years. This summer marks 10 years in Freeze Park.
I don't
cool.
even know how that's
Yeah.
possible.
Very cool.
That's a lie. That can't be true.
That is pretty crazy for a jam night to have that kind of longevity. That's
Right.
That's
an
very
awesome
cool.
thing.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, Ed, you know that so Tony Benny and I met at your jam or Artie's jam at the Georgetown Saloon, right?
Right.
And I met Derek there, Derek Reeves, bass player, and Gene Manassi, guitar player. Rest in peace, Gene. And another guy, Andrew Sell. You remember Andrew? Guitar player, like a young kid.
Vaguely.
Yeah, he was probably in his 20s back then. But so the four of us, me, Gino, Derek, and Andrew, started this jam in 2012 after we met at your jams up at the Georgetown Saloon.
Right.
And
But didn't you
Yeah.
start it at Rhythm right around the corner?
yes, that's where we started.
At
That was
Rhythm.
the
And there
first
was
place.
Alferante was on that gig sometimes, right? The guitar player. That was John Mayer's guitar teacher when he was a kid.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I
know.
was on it sometimes. I played sometimes with you guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
ancient
so-
days.
I'm the only surviving member. Well, original member. I won't say surviving. Sorry.
Listen to what you meant.
We're getting to an age, where you don't want to use that phrase.
Yeah.
One of our
That's
guys
the greatest term to put in.
is deceased, but the other two. I mean, Derek, I know is around. Andrew,
They're just
I
dead to you,
haven't
is what you're saying.
He's
Okay.
dead to you. There you go.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the one this coming week, because actually next week for me is actually it's a pretty crazy one. I'm actually kicking off a jam night myself the following night on Wednesday.
Okay.
This place in Madison. So I got a gig Wednesday night running the jam night. Thursday night I'm playing the ladies' night over at the Stumble Inn in Old Lyme.
Ladies' night.
Ladies' night. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, what a night!
Oh, what a night. And then Friday night I'm going to be performing at a Guilford institution here, known as the Country Tavern. My whole thing just went dark. I don't know why.
Uh-oh. We still see you. We see you better than ever.
There we go.
Yeah,
I guess my laptop was not plugged in after all.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
that happens.
I've been
So
talking
play
to my
another
So,
son.
song.
yeah, so
on that
I got
12
3
string.
gigs next week, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make the jam. All right, let me just.
Well,
double
you're
check
more
that
than
the damn thing's
welcome.
plugged into the
Come
wall
by
here
on a
first.
Tuesday. If you're gonna do solo acoustic, Frank, come early because we only have 3 slots. And you got it. We have a sign-up sheet comes out at 6:30. So be there or be square.
And you can
All
put a
righty
band
then.
together
Yeah,
around you.
that's a little
Dave?
bit of a tough nut for me to get there, but I will do the best I can with what I got.
All right.
Dave, I got a question for you.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can
No.
Dave hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Gene. What is his last name again?
Manasi.
Gene Manassi.
Okay.
All righty then.
Yeah. Okay. I think I know of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the one that passed away, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Great guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Man, it's a small world.
It is. It's
Yeah.
true. All right, Frank, play us in. Do a
All
song.
right.
Emerson, play us out. We're not done.
Play us in.
Okay.
Out.
All right, so
Over.
let's
Play us all.
ring the bell. Ring the bell.
ring the bell. Ring the bell. There we go. Little classic rock for us here. It's another tequila sunrise, staring slowly across the sky. Said goodbye. He was just a hired hand, working on the trains he planned to try. Days go by. Every night when the sun goes down, just another lonely boy in town. She's out running around. Wasn't just another woman, and I couldn't keep from coming on. It's been so long. Oh, and it's a hollow feeling when it comes down to dealing friends. Never ends. Take another shot of courage. Wonder why the right words never come. You
just get numb. It's another tequila sunrise. This whole world still looks the same. Another frame.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, nice.
Gotta love 12 strings, especially because they don't hurt this as much.
As long as you don't have to tune them. Yeah.
Oh God! Well, you always have to tune them. I mean, that's a rule. You know, you spend half your time tuning them and approximately 25% of your time playing them out of tune. It's just how that works. It's like this immutable law of physics. So who else has got gigs coming up? I can't be the only one that's like going on here and shamelessly shilling things. You're muted, Ed.
Ed, you're muted.
Oh,
How did the guy running the show manage to not mute?
There you go, Ed.
Perfect. There you go.
2 words.
Yes, right? Sounds
Wait, he's
like.
frozen.
Sounds like.
The first one I've got exactly. The first one I've got. What have I got? The last ever closing night of McDuff's on Friday in Greenwich.
Oh yeah.
And then Saturday I'm also playing the last closing night of McDuff's in Greenwich. Apparently, I got to call
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
word.
Surprise.
Crazy
And
Eddie's
then,
going out of business sale.
Exactly. And then the Blues Patrol is playing at the Pig Roast at the Norwalk Boat Club. Come on down. $30 for all the pig you can eat.
Oh, that pig you can eat.
Exactly. So yeah, it'll be a good time. Yeah, I'm glad everybody's playing. It's good that people are back out and playing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
geez,
it is.
I mean,
It
COVID
is.
was such a kick in the nuts for musicians and well, just everybody. I mean,
And
in
also
general, Jesus.
it was like there was this sort of halo effect, where for like months after it, nobody had gigs, and it was just that was even worse. Who's got gigs? And be this
Even Lorenz had
silence,
gigs on the Theremin. Oh my god!
and now it's like finally, like a year later, we've actually got gigs, which is
Oh
great.
my god, Lorenz,
it's
you gonna
nice
play
to
some
bounce
Theremin
back.
for us tonight?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see, I still got that tune, "Dancing Cheek to Cheek," running through my head.
Oh, cool. You can do that.
It's a beautiful tune.
Are you going to do the Porch Fest in Fairfield again?
Yes.
Oh, I want to definitely come. Yeah, I'm playing that day, but hopefully we're not at the same time like last year.
Black Rock. It's in
Right.
Black Rock. I'll be on Beacon Street. I'm not sure the exact address. Is that the 27th?
I don't remember, but I'm playing that day, so hopefully we're not at the same time.
I got the Newton slot early.
I'm not sure. I think I'm doing the Porch Fest over in Milford with the Wabendas. I'm not sure
nice.
though. I'm not
The
sure.
Flying
They don't
Wabendas.
tell me
I'll have
everything.
to
over
make
there,
sure
so.
to find out where you are too. Yeah. Cool.
All right, let's see what that theremin can do.
Yeah, this is the one I played last night in the same pedal. Let me turn it
I
on.
really want to hear what that thing sounds like through a Univibe with like an analog delay. That really strikes me as something that could probably haunt somebody's dreams.
Oh,
You could really put like a bad acid trip on somebody with that.
Yeah, you could scare little children easily. Yeah,
Hendrix.
Okay, so
And
for
here it is.
Small children.
trippy sound here.
when mushrooms go wrong.
Yes.
There it is.
They're just kicking in now.
There we go. Perfect. The brown acid is finally here, boys and girls.
Yeah, there we go.
That was not dancing sheet to sheet. That's that shimmer effect. There we go. I gotta turn that down.
Yeah, I would think you'd have a lot of fun with that thing, Lorenz. If you combine that with like doing a loop pedal where you could get some kind of a low drone that just would stay there and then play something underneath it, like layer things around.
A lot of people use loopers with the theremin. I think it's an effective thing to do. I have a lot of trouble with getting the timing on that pedal. Partly because
That's not an unheard of thing. That's a very easy thing to fuck up because
Yeah, they're
loopers
very hard to
loopers are
get used to.
merciless when it comes to
any
time.
movement I
Yeah.
make too is gonna, reaching this step on the pedal. It's a tough thing to coordinate in a tune, but people do it. There are some really great loopers out there. Dora Chrysler does some great stuff. Like she'll lay down some bass notes with a Moog Taurus and get them on a loop, and then sing some, put some voice in there on her loop, and she'll get like 4 layers going, and then she has some really
I hate to say this, but I've done a lot of looping in my day, and a lot of the really accomplished loopers, I don't mean the ones that know how to do it really well, but the ones who are successful with it, what they do is they cheat. So they use a looper pedal that has multiple channels, or they use Ableton Live or something that can have multiple channels. And what they do is they sing the vocal line and they go, la, 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 la. They sing the line, and then they step on the pedal, and it fires off a perfect recording of them singing that line in perfect time.
Oh, yeah.
So they're cheating, basically. It's basically a track act, but they're acting like
So
it's
they're
a
looking
looper
like
act.
they're laying down the loop, but they're not laying down the loop at all.
Yeah, even the 2-channel looper that I've got here, this thing's got like 99 presets, where you could basically build stuff in right off the bat. And then you get into the ones that are like the 3 and 4 channel loopers, and each one of those things has its own memory bank. So I'm sure you could do that same kind of thing and cheat.
So you create, I remember I used to say that, like, if you take regular store-bought, cheap store brand, welcome to Walmart orange juice, and you add a little bit of fresh squeezed orange juice to it, it tastes like fresh squeezed orange juice, right? Like there's something about it that, like, oh my God, it's 90% garbage and 10% fresh squeezed, but it all tastes fresh squeezed. And that's
instead of fresh squeeze, I just do vodka. But
there you go.
I understand what you mean.
That's how That's how
too.
you get a looper act done, where you play it in and you get ready and you play in the loop, and then you play it pretty well, and then you hit the pedal and it plays you playing the loop in the studio, and it sounds even better.
Yeah.
Did you bring a looper with you, Ed, to the Ed came over a month ago or something like that to Theramino's? Like, we weren't sure we had a gig, like, we're up in the air, maybe sort of, maybe not. And but he came over to our practice get together and brought a couple of synths, and his Theramini was triggering his great. But did you have a looper?
No, I didn't bring a looper there. I have a looper. I have Will Baird's looper, it turns out. I have the same one Will Baird uses. And I love loopers, but I'm like the original looper. I've been doing looping for years and years and years because I use software. I use Ableton Live, which is basically the craziest looper ever invented. It's
so
infinite channels and infinite variations, and you can, it's like Microsoft Excel. You can put it all in a big grid and kick it off, and so that's a cool way to work. And because a lot of good artists are using loopers now, where they're actually using the looper, which I have tremendous respect for. But you're taking a risk that if you don't hit that pedal just right, like every time it comes around, it's going to go.
You did that there. You did that there. You wanted it there, but you did that there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And what a terrible feeling. You could zero it out, but now you're stepping on it 3 times and holding it. And like it with Ableton, you could create that. And I had an act that I did with a drummer and a singer. So it was the 3 of us, but it sounded like a giant band.
Yeah.
And you could, and I was basically doing all the looping in Ableton Live. And the audience had no idea what was happening. I mean, the song sounded amazing, but most of the instrumentation was coming out of the Ableton Live, and the drummer had a click in his ear, so he was getting the time bass. Right.
That's absolutely crucial. I mean,
otherwise,
I would do stuff in a band every now and again. You try and throw a loop in to like throw something underneath. As soon as somebody drags or rushes, the wheels just come
bass
right
players
off.
and drummers they're designed from birth to make the groove right and fix it, speed it up and slow it down. And if you're doing a looper act, you can't do that. You've got to play along with the record.
How do you know when the drummer's outside your house? Knocking gets slower.
There you go.
I did do a thing at an open mic.
I'm a reformed drummer, Dave. I can make that joke. I'm allowed. And how do you know there's a percussion player outside your house? The knocking gets faster.
You saying something, Dennis? Hey,
I'm sorry,
Dennis, was that you saying something? Somebody was saying something.
I was going to mention I have played a thing at open mic with a looper. The tune, I'm a little teapot, yeah.
That's a hard song to loop on. Yeah,
It's kind of well, it's a theremin mayhem piece, and I'd come in fairly low with a kind of a growly voice, like a bullfrog, and then lay in at about the same pace, kind of medium octave, and then a high one, and then start putting them in with different timings. And after I've got about 7 layers of that in there, I'd start playing something like Pachelbel's Canon in D, and pull that out of it, or the flower duet. It was fun experiment, and like people's chins would drop.
So you're like a theremin DJ. You're like mixing all kinds of stuff, doing little remixes of everything.
Dropping mad beats,
it's really nuts by the time you get all that stuff in there. You get 7 layers of I'm a little teapot, faster and slower, like banging up. All the notes are there someplace. Just like
the thing that got me into Ableton Live and looping in the beginning, many years ago now, was I was with a producer friend of mine in a hot shit studio, and he said, I want to show you something really cool. It's called Global Drum Project. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of this. So Dave Lindsay, question. The drummer in the Grateful Dead, is it Lesh?
No,
Lesh is the bass player. It would be Mickey Hart.
Bill
Hart,
Kreisman and Mickey Hart.
Mickey Hart. So I just couldn't remember. I can't keep them straight, right? So Mickey Hart had this group that he put together called Global Drum Project. And if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and type in Global Drum Project.
That rings a bell, absolutely.
What he did was he got a Latin percussionist, like a world-class Latin percussionist, a world-class African percussionist, talking drum and stuff like that, a world-class Indian percussionist, and him playing a drum set. And they would play live, and they had stuff on stage like petrified trees that they were playing with hammers and like all kinds of crazy percussion stuff. And then they would stick to their own percussion and mix all of these different flavors from percussion from around the world and make these amazing pieces. And as they were, they had a big show, and as they were panning around showing the different musicians, there was one shot of a guy sitting at a laptop with a grid on the screen. And I'm like, wait, who was that guy? So we backed up and we looked at that guy. We zoomed in on the screen and we go, wait a minute, what's that guy doing? What he was doing was he was creating live samples. As those guys were playing, he would loop them and create loops, and then he would kick off the loops and then say in their headphone, okay, you can talk back to each of them individually. And he would say, okay, you could switch up to something else. And then they would get up and do something different.
Yeah.
So he was actually playing what you're hearing, but those guys were doing live looping, and he could record them and not even have them going out of the PA. And when he got the loop right, he could put that live and they could move on to something else. Worth watching, Global Drum Project. And that I figured out what software was, and I was like, that's it. I'm getting that software. That's the coolest thing ever.
So 2 things about Ableton Live. You can do anything under the sun with it. The easiest way to start with it is go get your master's degree in sound engineering.
It is really complicated.
Yeah, I play around a little bit with Ableton. I haven't even stretched the surface on that.
Yeah,
thing.
Ableton is weird. So I learned every winter, I know I'm going to be cooped up inside all winter. So I always take on some project to learn something. And one winter, it took me about 4 months. I was a Pro Tools guy. And I was like, how hard could it be? I know how to use Pro Tools. I'm like, no, forget it. It's a looper, amazing looping machine. So,
yeah, I just had enough like Ableton, but I've let it sit just long enough where I've got to basically start over again. It's like,
that's
it's
it.
New product.
It is really weird, It's
What I miss
about
is
as
the
similar to Pro Tools as Microsoft Excel is to PowerPoint. It's just very different.
Yeah, completely different animal. Yeah.
But it's
Someone
fun.
gave me an old iMac. Is it worth learning GarageBand?
Don't learn GarageBand. Go get the $70 version of Ableton. Don't get the $1,000 version. Buy the $70 version of Ableton, and I'll come down and show you how to use it.
You don't even have to buy the $70 version. I mean, you could just pick up like one of those little Novatron kind of keyboard sampler jobs, and they'll give you a copy of the thing.
You get a
with
free
it.
version, but the $70 version is actually way better than the friend. Of course, if you buy the expensive version, the $1,000 setup, it's even better. It comes with instruments and all kinds of stuff. But just to do the looping, you could do that with the free or cheap one.
Yeah,
that's the one I've got. I've got
like
Ableton
5-6 channels on it.
Dave Lindsay.
Sir.
Dave Lindsay. Could you please identify this gentleman? Is this Gene?
Yeah.
It looks like
that
Gene.
him?
Yeah,
That's him, right?
I think so. Yeah.
You think? I don't know. Can you see that?
Actually, I have a cell phone.
Yeah, we
Where
can
am
see
I
it.
at?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, that's
Is
him.
that Gene?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's Gene.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay.
What is he, a wanted man or something? Or what?
No. It's just that I heard the name, and then when you were talking about who you were playing with and stuff.
You just wrecked it. He's in the witness protection program, you know.
That's right. Yeah, he's never. Yeah.
Jesus God.
On
And
the
when you
run,
said
I
he
guess.
passed away, I
Muffled
said,
explosion
okay,
off in the
I think
distance
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he
Used to come
died
to my
from
jam.
stomach cancer.
Oh, sorry.
Probably. If it's 10, it could be 10 years ago now. Close to it.
Right. He used to come to the jam at Georgetown, and then he got involved in your jam, and
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
I'm sure I hung around with him because I used to spend some time over at the Georgetown Jam. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Good player. Very exacting. You know, he really took his craft seriously.
Well, then he would have hated me then. So would have hated me
What are you
now.
trying to say, Frank?
I stand for everything he hated.
Oh.
Hey, you know, I was listening to you guys before I came on, and I was listening to you, Ed, talk about your new solo career that you're about to launch.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Solo keys, right?
I'm not doing it yet. I'm going to do it one of these days. Yeah, I'm starting to work on it now.
The
But I
Beard
had
knockoff
that
project.
same feeling, like, you know, being a drummer, I can do a duo, but that's as low as it goes, right? And I'm like, well, so I would love to do something by myself, but yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of interest in a solo drummer.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess the answer is, you know, where it all started in my mind was when Will came on JMTV and said, I want to do acoustic music. And I was like, I don't know if acoustic music is enough. Like, I don't know if it's going to be enough. And he gets the most fan mail from anybody.
Right.
Like, he gets all kind of, we love Will Baird. We love Will Baird. We love Will Baird.
Right.
And so it got me thinking, like, you know what? People like a soothing, relaxing sound. It doesn't always have to be in your face and like with lyrics and whatever. It can just be a soothing background. And I've had people, like one of our fans who watches from Korea was like, where do I buy his music? Where do I get his music? I want to listen to that.
Yeah.
And you know, you can never sell acoustic music short. And as a drummer, you could easily do a looper act as a drummer and have tracks of a bass player. And it's now it's drums and bass, and you're playing along with that. Nobody's gonna go, wait a minute, where's the bass player going? You know?
Or do a basic drum track and then come back and do solo fills over the top of it or something.
Right.
Rhythms over the top of it.
Or to the point of what Dave is talking about doing, where you get like that hybrid piece where you've got like triggers in there. I mean, if you've got something where you could pull some kind of a piece in there and do triggers
I mean,
and get some stuff like that.
Right. I've got a fancy electric drum kit, but what I've been thinking about more is just the autonomy of being able to play a solo gig, right? You don't have to consult with anybody else's schedule. You're easily employable because your cost is lower, and those things are really like high up on my list of value,
Yeah,
Right.
that was why
There's
I
a lot of
chose
good
not
things to say about it. You
Mm.
you
All
don't
right,
have
but
to
let me
worry
ask
about
you a
somebody
question.
saying that song sucks. I mean, if you've got
Right.
that going on and you're a solo act, you've got other problems. But,
But let me ask this question to Will and to Frank, people that have done solo gigs.
Mhm.
When I do a solo gig, like I'm a DJ also. So when I DJ an event, I find it lonely. Like
Mhm.
I get to the event alone and I set up the equipment alone and then I play alone and then I have my break alone and then I play again and again and again and then I go home alone and I'm like, I haven't seen anybody all day because you're alone. People think, oh, you're surrounded by all these people, but they're not talking to you.
Right.
They're not
Right, yeah.
interacting with you. And you don't even have a band member to go, you really screwed up that
Yeah.
chord, whatever. But don't you, isn't it a little lonely, like, Will and Frank? What do you think?
Bring your entourage.
It depends on whether you make some. If you make a
How much money you make? It depends on how much money you
yeah,
make.
it depends on how much money. The more you can buy people, the better. No, I find if there's a couple of people I can connect with, at the beginning of the gig, then I've got somebody to make some sort of connection. But yeah, when you get home, it's like crickets. You're like, but it's the same thing with when you do live. When you do live streaming, you do this thing in front of a couple of hundred people. There's especially this show. There's all this camaraderie. We're all hanging out. It's like this great party with all your friends. And then they say, okay, but we're done. And then boom, that's it. You're done. And
And
it's
then
like
you're
an
like,
empty
oh
house.
God, my dishes are in the sink. I gotta do that.
Yeah, it's like back to reality. Oh shit,
here I am in my basement all by myself.
But the alternative is to to put together a band and deal with all the bullshit that you have to deal with to run a band.
Oh, yes.
I'll take the loneliness anytime. Thank
There
you.
go. What do you think, Frank? When you go do
it's
gig after gig.
it's a similar thing. I mean, to Will's point, I mean, the key to really doing it is going out there and really engaging the audience. I mean, if you're just going to sit there and you're just going to stare down and play, they're not going to necessarily give anything back, and you're just a jukebox with shoes.
Right.
So but if you go through, like, one of the things I always try and do whenever I'm playing a gig is I try and engage the audience. I mean, I'll start off with something simple, like, am I being too fucking loud? Am I loud enough? That kind of thing. Then from there, like, I'll try and goad somebody into like requesting a song. And I try and interact that way. And like, if they throw something at me, if I know it, I'll play it. If I don't know it and I'm feeling lucky, maybe I'll try it.
Right.
Or I'll deflect into something else in that genre. You know what I mean? And that's how you basically build that rapport. And then when you're taking the break, they're actually coming over to you and they're engaging you.
Right.
Now, they still won't help you pick shit up at the end of the night. So there, you're by yourself. You're fucked on that one. But you also don't have to split the money. So I'll take it.
That's true. At the end of the night, you're like, $1 for me and $1 for me.
Yeah, everything in that tip cup goes to you. You don't have to worry about splitting that shit out. So there's a lot. Of course, I get home, I give it all to the wife anyway, but that's another story. So there definitely can be those nights. I mean, I talked about one of the horrendous ones that I had at this place out on the side, and and I was trying to do that bit, trying to schmooze to the crowd, this, that, and the other, and I finished the gig, and I'm like, yo, hey, thanks a lot for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys come back sometime. We'll have some fun. And one of them looked me dead in the eye and said, you're gonna have to learn some better songs before we're gonna do that.
Oh God! Oh man!
Wow!
Oh man!
Hit in your guitar. There you go.
Just one of those things where you just wake up on the ground, look at wow,
Ouch. And then you're like, no, it was the bass player's fault.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for the most part, it can be there. But if you're really doing it right and you're engaging the audience and you're engaging the clientele and you're engaging the people that work there, it really does pay dividends over time.
Right.
I mean, I don't need to tell you. I mean, the first thing you want to do is you want to make friends. You want to make that bartender like you.
Yeah.
If you can make that bartender like you, because they've heard it fucking all.
Right.
You're like, oh Jesus, brown-eyed girl fucking again. That whole bit. So if you can engage them and you can win them over, then they're going to talk you up. They're going to talk you up to the crowd. They're going to talk you up to the patrons. They're going to talk you up to the owner. Hey, that guy was really fucking good.
Right.
Just get him back here. That's the way to play it, to my mind. And yes, Dave, as a drummer, you're kind of in a hole there.
Well,
but
it's a fascinating question that you asked, Ed, and it would never have occurred to me. to even ask that question because I always have bandmates to play with. And, my entire musical life, the most fun I ever have on stage is like jamming with my fellow bandmates and getting into a great groove and digging what we're doing. Right. That's what I live for. So to be doing some kind of solo thing is like so far out of my, wheelhouse that it would be a huge adjustment.
Because that's what you do, and that's what I do. Is I'm a sideman. I'm like, I want my phone to ring. My band is playing. Come play with us.
Right.
It's much less pressure than you have to show up and do the whole show yourself.
Right.
It's not undoable. It's very doable. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to be Buddy Rich. Like, watch what I could do with a hi-hat for 45 minutes. Like you're not that guy. But the idea of a sideman. The real issue is, are you a singer? Like Frank's a singer. Now Will has cracked that. He went from being a singer to doing instrumentals, and he can still do a whole show as instrumentals. So there's something to be said. There's an audience will see the music differently than a musician, obviously. Yeah. And if you're playing Tequila Sunrise with the vocals, or you're playing Tequila Sunrise and you're playing the melody, an audience is playing that melody, the lyrics and melody in their head anyway.
Right.
There is a connection there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it's I've spent my whole time learning how to play with other musicians, and you've got to really change your way of thinking about it to get a solo act off the ground. I'm doing it. It's going to happen. I'm going to come to your jam and play a song.
Nice.
Play one for us, Ed.
There you go. Yeah, not now.
That's right. Come on now.
And to your point, Dave, I mean, that's definitely something that I miss. I mean, being able to, that kind of spontaneity on the fly of being able to go stuff and just, okay, let's make a left here. I mean, so let's take this. All right, now we're doing samba. I mean, so, all of a sudden like that, and changing that stuff up.
Right.
That is a really fun and vibrant part of being a musician playing in front of a crowd that you can't do on your own. The closest you can get to that is when you start doing things where you're dealing with the loopers and playing to the tracks and things like that. And the satisfaction comes from the precision of hitting the part and being able to make those pieces blend, and you create and you coalesce this symphony where it's just you. You just made all that. Just you. So there's a different kind of satisfaction of that. But it's not the same thing as hitting the brake on Liz Reed. No, it is not. It is not. Definitely not. I miss doing that.
Yeah. Interesting
stuff. All right. Well, maybe we'll work on something together, Dave Lindsay. We'll do a very
You got it, man.
There you
absolutely.
go.
All right,
there's
gentlemen,
the duo right there.
That's it for Jam TV tonight. Good to see you all, and hope to see you soon. It's show 150 next week.
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to miss that one because, like I said, it's ladies' night.
Got a gig.
So, but I'll be thinking about you guys.
All right. Well, really good to see you guys, and go to everybody's gigs, do all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you all soon on Jam TV.
Hey,
all right. Take care, fellas.
Bye.
That was quite a show.